You will hear people talking in 8 different situations. For questions 1 to 8, choose the best answer, A, B or C. 1. You overhear this man in a shop. He wants to change some paint because A. He doesn't like the colour. B. He thinks there is something wrong with it. C. He finds it makes him ill.
I'm having to bring this paint back, I'm afraid. As soon as I opened the tin, I began to cough and sneeze. I seem to be allergic to it. It's not the fault of the paint, it's me. Running eyes, sore throat, you know, the whole works. But I'm frightened that if it goes on the walls, I'll be coughing and sneezing for as long as I live there. Perhaps you've got some other sort. As a matter of fact, I could do with a slightly darker pink.
2. This woman is complaining at a railway station inquiry office. She is angry because A. Her train is late. B. Her train has been cancelled. C. She thinks the train service is very poor.
No more trains till 7 o'clock. But I thought the service was every hour. It is every hour, or it was last week. I'm sure there was one at 6:05.
Last week, you say? Which day did you travel? Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday?
Well, I really don't know. It was last weekend. There must be a train. There's always one at 6:05.
I'm sorry, madam, not on a Sunday.
Look, this really isn't good enough. It's always one thing or the other. Delays, cancellations. Whatever next? I want to see the station manager.
3. These 2 people are having an argument. Are they arguing about A. The climate, B. The weather outside, C. The snowfall in recent years?
I'm sure the weather's getting warmer.
What, today you mean?
No, over the years. We used to have snow in April, even in May some years. Now it hardly snows at all, even in the depths of winter. I bet it's that greenhouse effect they keep talking about.
Oh, global warming. What absolute rubbish. Look outside at the frost on the grass. And this is June.
You see? You don't expect frost in June. Your expectations have changed with the years.
4. This is a conversation between a man and a woman. Is the man A. A policeman, B. A garage mechanic, C. A judge or other official in a court of law?
I'm sorry, madam, but I must ask you to refrain from driving this car until the exhaust has been repaired.
But that's ridiculous. I've only just had a new exhaust fitted. You can see it's new.
But I'm referring to the actual emissions, not the pipe itself. It's all down to how the engine's tuned. Efficient combustion of petroleum products, as they say.
But, officer, I had the engine tuned only last week. It cost me nearly £40.
The fact remains that under the Road Traffic Act, it's an offence to emit, what do they call it? Noxious fumes.
Meaning?
Meaning up to £100 fine if you don't comply.
Oh, very well.
5. The speaker in this extract is a very keen gardener. He is talking about his success in growing A. A type of fruit, B. A type of vegetable, C. Some flowers.
Look at mine. If I rub the soil off, you can see what a lovely golden colour they are. I put them in at the end of March, and here I am in mid-July with the biggest crop I've had in my life. The harvesting usually breaks my back, but this time I was so delighted to have such a lovely heavy crop that the heaviness actually kept me going. It's all in the mind. Get them in early, that's the secret. I'll enter them for the local show, if they keep till September. That's if my family don't eat them first.
6. In this extract, you are listening to someone speaking to quite a large group of people. Is he giving A. A history lecture, B. A talk at a gardening club, C. Advice to medical students?
Of course, it changed the way in which people lived. Instead of growing their own food locally, they had to start going to shops and markets. Everything was centralized and controlled by others. What is more, the general standard of health declined drastically. Diseases struck overcrowded areas where people did not have so much as a pocket handkerchief plot on which to grow their potatoes and onions. And you have to remember that doctors in those days did not have the antibiotics and other medicines which they have today. Look at the Royal Infirmary only a mile or so from here, where we are now.
7. This extract comes from a talk on the radio. Is the speaker describing A, a piece of music, B, a magnificent building, C, a formal garden?
And then there's a majestic passage leading to a stately coda, which also serves as an archway into the final movement. Look out for the brass and muted strings. Restrained at first, but blossoming, flowering, even richer and more colourful as time goes on. I think it's the grandeur I most admire, the sense of space and architecture. Everything's so well proportioned, and themes and motifs follow on from each other with a seamless continuity.
8. In this extract you can hear someone speaking on the telephone. She wants to book some theatre tickets, but she finds that A, the performance is fully booked, B, the performance has been cancelled, C, she can no longer have a special discount.
I'd like to make a reservation, please, for it takes two to tango. I'd like the members' discount, please. Oh, dear. You mean you're fully booked? It can't have done. Whatever's gone wrong? In hospital? Oh, well, I hope it isn't anything serious. The people who've already booked must be terribly disappointed. Yes, I'm sure you'll give them their money back. But what about members of the theatre club? Like me, for instance. I wouldn't have joined if I'd known this would happen. My discount isn't much use to me now.
Part 2. You will hear a conversation between a salesman and his customer. For questions 9 to 18, complete the notes which summarize what the speakers say. You will need to write a word or a short phrase in each box. You now have 45 seconds in which to look at Part 2.
Now, Mr. Jones, I'd like to show you our new computer. It's the TX100, made in Japan.
Ah, yes, I was going to ask you about that. If it's made abroad, I might have trouble in getting spare parts.
Not at all, Mr. Jones. Our head office in London keeps all the spare parts, and also a number of loan machines, so that in the most unlikely event of yours developing a serious fault, and the even more unlikely event of our not being able to repair it on site, you'd have the use of a replacement for as long as you needed it.
Free of charge, you mean?
Well, all our service is free for the first year. After that, there's an annual charge you can pay for on-site service.
On-site service? In other words, you'd continue to come to my office to carry out any repairs?
Yes, we would. It's all included.
How soon can you sort a problem out?
We'll be with you in less than 36 hours.
I've heard that sort of thing before. Excuse me if I sound a bit cynical, but I've had disappointments with other firms promising speedy service. They say they'll come within 24 hours, 48 hours, or whatever it is. But then when it comes to it, they don't count weekends and holidays, and 48 hours can easily turn into 96 hours, or even longer.
Don't worry, sir. When we say 36 hours, we mean 36 hours. Ring us one morning, and we'll be with you by the end of the next afternoon. Holidays are no exception, except insofar as our customers themselves sometimes don't want to have us call at those times.
Well, it sounds very good. And the annual fee?
After the first year, the fee is £150.
£150 a year? It sounds an awful lot.
Well, think of it this way. It works out at less than £3 a week, which doesn't exactly break the bank. I'm sure you'll agree with that, Mr. Jones.
Well, up to a point. I also wanted to ask about running costs. The price of paper for the printer and that sort of thing.
The paper costs about £2 a roll, and there's about 300 sheets per roll.
Are your printers easy to use? You see, we've managed without one up to now.
It couldn't be easier. In fact, they're entirely automatic.
Oh, why are there so many knobs and buttons?
I was just coming on to that.
Part 3. You will hear 5 different people talking about the sort of books they like to read. For questions 19 to 23, choose from the list A to F what each one likes to read. Use each letter only once. There is one extra letter which you do not need to use. You now have 30 seconds to look through Part 3.
Well, I'm really not that keen on reading of any sort. I suppose I like fiction more than fact, but not just any old fiction. I'm a history fan, so I go for books that have been around for quite some time. Costume drama on telly, visits to stately homes at weekends, and the classic authors. I think that just about sums me up. Some people call me a fuddy-duddy, though I do like to have a bit of spice in my fiction.
It's people I'm really interested in, so I'm always on the lookout for a good new novel. Crime and thrillers appeal to me most, especially if there's plenty of suspense and mystery. Oh, and I've really enjoyed a novel by a man called Robert Gluck. It's called Marjorie Kemp, and it's just been published. It's based on fact, though the author obviously changes things for the sake of his story. And frankly, I'm a great believer in author's license, as it's called.
I like a good mystery, so I'm always looking out for up-to-the-minute books with the latest news about strange phenomena, unidentified flying objects, weird or menacing beasts roaming lonely mountainsides and things like that. By the way, I do believe in the Yeti, the abominable snowman, you know, though I just missed a sighting when I made my visit to the Himalayas. I think I know all there is to know about the unknown.
Me? I'm very down to earth. You know how I am with gadgets, engines, things like that. In fact, the only books I like are the sort that help me to save on garage repair bills. I'm always reading the latest do-it-yourself guides for Sunday engineers, people who spend their weekends underneath their cars. All my books are covered in oil. And just look at my hands, not to mention my clothes.
There are people I admire very much. Brunel, for instance. Where did he get the technical skill to build, or design, those bridges, ships, and railways, etc.? Or to take a completely different person, Marjorie Kemp. She lived 600 years ago, and she tramped all over Europe to visit holy places, even when she was old and ill. I like to read real-life stories of what people did and why they were like they were. You know what I say? Understand others, and you'll understand yourself as well.
Part 4. You'll hear a conversation between a man called Mr. Jenkins, his son Bill, and his neighbour, Mrs. Smith. Answer questions 24 to 30 by writing J for Mr. Jenkins, B for Bill, or S for Mrs. Smith in the boxes provided. You now have 30 seconds to look through Part 4.
Hello, Mr. Jenkins. I am afraid I have a grumble to make. It's about your son. Well, that football of his, to be precise.
Don't say he's kicking it into your garden again, Mrs. Smith.
Well, yes, I'm afraid it keeps coming over.
I've told him not to play in the street. Look, here he comes now. I'll have this out with him once and for all. Bill, I want you here this minute.
What's wrong, Dad? Why are you looking so angry?
Mrs. Smith tells me you're still letting that football of yours go into her garden.
Oh, yes. Well, I'm sorry. Hello, Mrs. Smith.
It's no good standing there squirming, Bill. I thought we'd sorted all this out last year, you and your friends. Surely you've got the sense to know that you're causing damage?
Well, yes, Dad. In fact, this time we've caused more damage than usual.
Look what happened to Mrs. Smith's daffodils when they were just coming out last spring. Ruined. Absolutely knocked to pieces.
It isn't just the damage, it's their welfare too. It isn't safe to play in the street. So I don't want you coming down too hard on him, Mr.
I told you then, and I'll tell you again.
Don't come down on him too hard, Mr. Jenkins. I can't help feeling sorry for the lad. He paid for the damage with his pocket money, and then in the autumn he burst a new ball on the thorns of my roses.
Dad, this time we were kicking the ball up and down the road to avoid it going into the gardens. After it went on the daffodils, we stopped using Mrs. Smith's gate as a goal. It was just an unlucky bounce that took it over the wall and onto the roses. Anyway, it didn't do any harm that time, not to Mrs. Smith's garden. It was Mrs. Smith's garden that damaged my ball.
You're being cheeky.
No, Dad, it's true. And now, today, it did an even unluckier bounce.
Now listen to me, Bill. Once more into Mrs. Smith's garden, and I'll stop your pocket money for, well, I don't know how many months.
Bill, surely it's best if you play on the recreation ground. It's not far to walk.
But there's just one problem, Mrs. Smith.
There can't be a problem. You don't mean you youngsters haven't the strength to walk half a mile?
Well, no, it's not that.
Well, go to the recreation ground.
But, Dad, Mrs. Smith, my ball's in Mrs. Smith's front room.
What on earth do you mean? In my front room?
It did another funny bounce. It's gone through your window.